Hey everybody, got a hard pill to swallow for many conservatives out there today. Today is Super Bowl. I'll be letting out videos, picking my kid up from work, making dinner, things like that. Normal daily life stuff rather than watching the Super Bowl. I used to only watch it for the ads. But then the ads all went woke and we just stopped. There's nothing fancy on the table today. There's no dip and chips or none of that bullshit. We're not doing it anymore. I was under the impression that conservatives weren't doing that anymore years ago. And much to my chagrin, come to find out, most of them are all watching it again and making excuses as to why they do. Having said all that, the same went with Netflix. Cuties came out and they found out that Obama's involved with Netflix and all this and that, and they were boycotting Netflix. Then come to find out last year, they were telling us all to boycott Netflix again. And I said, what? Boycott Netflix again? I never stopped. It's just interesting to me how weak conservatives actually are. And I call them conservatives because it's a con. They're not conserving anything, and they don't really support MAGA. These types don't really support MAGA wholly. They don't really care if the country's great. They don't care if things get better. All they care about is their addictions like sports and so on. And they're rhinos, things like that. The people that get us into wars rather than get us out. These are the same types of people who say that Trump said he was going to be the no war president and then got us into wars when we aren't in any wars. You know what I'm saying? So, end of the day, no respect there. Never had any. I've never claimed to be conservative or Republican ever. I'm just pretty much MAGA. Let's dive in, though. I wanted to show you there is some hope out there. Kind of made my day. We got this guy, John Rich, who everybody's supposedly so impressed with. Here he is. He says, my family and I will be changing the channel tonight as soon as the Super Bowl halftime starts. How about you? I kind of call him out. I don't get many views on X yet. So not that I care, but I said, big deal. You shouldn't be giving them ratings at all. This is not brave. And that's actually correct. And we got this person, yes, as though, but this is where the hope kind of kicks in. I won't have to because I won't watch it at all. It's got nothing to do with the halftime show. It's got everything to do with them not liking America, playing a divisive two national anthems. I gave up on the NFL in 2016. That's when I thought conservatives did give up on the NFL and Republicans. But, of course, they don't stick to their boycotts. Then we've got, people doing this as though this matters. Hey, let's give the NFL ratings and then not ratings for 25 minutes and then ratings again. This is not going to hurt them, guys. If you want to be involved in the NFL, watch this. Watch this here, this what's on the screen, watch this and be done with it. If you're a serious person who seriously is truly upset about what the NFL is doing, then that's how that should work. If you're a serious person. Now, I've seen people say, oh, there's players that came out against the halftime show. There was 26 players out of thousands that came out against the halftime show. It's less than 1%. Who have come out against the halftime show and said Jesus this and Christ that and love God and all this and that. It's a minute amount of players. The whole NFL organization, most sports organizations have been hijacked by woke people, okay? Period. Look at what's happening in the Olympics right now. If you don't know, go look it up. This gave me a little bit of hope. By watching the game, you are generating revenue for them. Boycott the Super Bowl. There you go. This person points out, I stopped watching the day this shit started. I can't tell you who's even playing, really. Boycott the Super Bowl. He says, I boycotted the NFL after Kaepernick's kneel down, so I have zero interest in the entire propaganda fest tonight. This is making my day, guys. How about just boycott the whole thing? They will get ratings credit for you watching it. We are 100% boycotting it. I got to give that a like and that a like, too. And so there you have. I'm not turning it on. I'm not tuning in at all. F the NFL and their American hating celebration. We get it, NFL. You hate this country and you hate its citizens. You do not have Bad Bunny. You do not have to have Bad Bunny to get your point across. I'm not watching the Bad Bunny halftime show, and I'll tell you that my family will be changing the channel, and they're making fun of people that are just fed up with all the woke shit. So boycott it all. No NFL in my home. And let's take a look at this person. That's weird. She doesn't look like anybody in that photo there. Odd. Strange. Anyway, and then we've got, instead of the Super Bowl, I'd rather watch a horse, hours of Tom Holman deporting illegals. There you go. So there you have it. I mean, you can see people are finally calling out these fake pretend conservatives. And it makes my day. This bullshit boycott nonsense is actually just ridiculous. I just like, it blows my mind. Like, you're not hurting the NFL by watching the NFL for the majority of the game. You're helping them. You're in fact helping them by tuning in to the game the whole time. It's not a boycott to turn off 25 minutes tops of a halftime show to then turn it back on after you've already watched hours of the initial game to then finish the game and give them more hours. And that's not even, I mean, like, you've got Jake Paul. People are like, oh, this is so awesome that he's saying this, purposely turning off the halftime show. Let's rally together and show big corporations they can't do whatever they want without consequences, which equals viewership for them. You are their benefit. Realize you have power. Turn off this halftime. A fake American citizen performing who publicly hates America cannot support that. Okay, again, you're not hurting them. You're not, it's a fake boycott is what it is. You want to talk about fake, it's a fake boycott. It's not a boycott. A boycott is just turning it off and not doing anything. Watch something else. And then we're going to have this happening on theirs too. I heard this, it was actually funded by Reid Hoffman. I don't know if that's true, even though he's in the Epstein files. So we're going to see this ad play tonight. This person says Epstein victims spent $8 to $10 million by a George Soros Foundation on a Super Bowl ad to attack Trump's attorney general. President Trump's DOJ has released over 3 million files. Where was the Super Bowl ad when the Biden's DOJ? Oh, by the way, this person here, I don't even think is a victim. And if her story's true, she was actually a criminal. She was recruiting women, but she's in the ad, of course. Has released over 3 million files. Where was the Super Bowl ad when Biden's DOJ covered up the files for 4 years? Imagine if they spent $8 to $10 million on lawyers to get justice instead of a Super Bowl advertisement. If you don't see the op being played, then I got a bridge to sell you in Arizona. Exactly. That's exactly correct. Now, again, this person took money to traffic people to Epstein. I'm not sure either, but I think that one there is the one that claims, I could be wrong, don't quote me on this, I could be wrong, but I think this is the one that claims that Epstein is a shapeshifter. By the way, the 3 million files that have not been released is largely CSAM. I don't know why anybody would want to see those. But, I mean, okay.
After years of being kept apart, we're standing together.
Standing together.
Because this girl deserves the truth.
Because she deserves the truth.
Because we all deserve the truth.
Okay, well, here's the fun part. You could have saved $8 to $10 million as well and just told the truth to us. They're not under any kind of NDA. They said they were going to release the names with Thomas Massie. Where's the Massie files? He says he's got 25 names that he can release. But now he's backtracking on the news, and he's saying, oh, well, you know, I would need the victims. He's putting it on the onus on the victims. I need the victims to give me the okay to release the videos or the names. I'm sorry. So explain to me how it is that the victims want transparency and they want the truth out. They know the truth, which none of them have named Trump. All of them have said Trump wasn't involved. The credible ones, and even some of these victims in that ad, I don't believe are credible. Just look into what it takes to get a payout from the Epstein estate. It was literally just any kind of knowledge of the case, which there was a lot of it out there, and then just tying yourself into it. You didn't need to show proof, photos, nothing. You didn't need to show anything. So check this out. Let's listen to what he has to say here, this little greasy cuck, Thomas Massie. Let's listen to this.
I'm ready to do that if the victims want me to. They believe that the
Did you catch it? Let's play it again. Let's play it one more time. Let's play that. Listen closely to what he says right here.
I'm ready to do that if the victims want me to.
So he's putting everything onto the victims. Now, keep in mind, if you recall, last fall, when he said that, he backtracked and he said, oh, well, doing this could really put the victims in danger. The victims, you mean, who are going and putting their faces in front of cameras and now trying to blame Pam Bondi for not releasing CSAM to the rest of the world? Those victims? The victims who are out there telling people that they've got the names and sitting on them, that they've given to you supposedly, that you're sitting on, you're putting the blame on them, on the victims. These victims are nothing more than cards that these low-life, greasy pieces of shit are using as their focal point, when in reality, the lawyers for both sides, the victims, the fucking investigators, the prosecutors, all have cleared Trump, and all of them have also stated that there was no international child trafficking ring. There were adult females that Epstein shared after he abused them as minors. If you don't believe me, you can easily look this shit up. But nobody wants to. They just want to attack me, the guy that's telling you what I found from actually researching the case. Nope, they would rather look at a screenshot from the file and say, no, that's a fact, when it's actually a called-in tip or complaint or, lead or whatever, that the FBI, if you look at the entire thing, is like, yeah, this is incredible. I don't, this shit blows my mind that we're even still talking about this weeks later, to the point where, it makes my brain hurt. It's just the dumbest thing. And this is going to be that ad I just showed you. That's going to be on the NFL tonight at the halftime show or wherever they play it. They're going to play all this dumb shit, and conservatives are going to line up like fucking cuck sheep to watch this game and excuse it in their own minds as to why it's okay that they're watching. Well, I'm turning off the halftime show. Just absolutely retardation at its...
They believe that the best way to get justice is to force the DOJ to release these names. I've already read one.
So the best way to get justice is to force the DOJ to release these names. There's been a ton of names released. Puxatawny Phil is in there. But, somebody's name that's mentioned in there is obviously up to no good. But there he is. He's mentioned in there. There's a ton of Democrats' names mentioned in there, some of whom, by the way, were known to have been texting and emailing with Epstein during an actual congressional hearing. Stacey Plaskett, who also tried to go visit the island because, he's a constituent. But, that's neither here nor there, right? That's not to say that she went to the island to abuse minors. But it's funny to me that a whole bunch of people ignore all that stuff, only to push the Trump narrative, right? Only to push the Trump narrative that's been debunked by the release of these files, actually. But there he is, acting like a little weaselly, slimy fucking bitch.
One name in a committee with the FBI director there. That's Jess Staley. And again, he may or may not be guilty, but he's been accused by these victims, the lawyer tells me. And there are other names. I don't have them in my possession. But if the victims want to...
He's been accused by the victims of what? Elaborate. What has he been accused of? What exactly is it? Was it of covering up a crime or being involved in something that the victims have already openly stated didn't happen? What is he involved in? Is he involved in the adult human trafficking where they get massages with happy endings type stuff? What is he involved in? He won't say. He's just making these claims to try to stay relevant.
To give them to me, I've expressed that I'm willing to do that. But again, the best way is to force the DOJ to release those names on those 302 forms. I'm ready.
All right, let's dig into this, guys. Give me a sec. Let's dig into this. Let's dig into this. Let's find out, huh? I've already done this, by the way, but I don't remember if it was on this one or the other grok, and I'm not going to make you sit through this. Well, no. Let's see what Grok has to say. So here we go. the 302 forms that he's referring to keeps referencing official FBI interview reports. These forms document summaries of what witnesses, victims, or other individuals told FBI agents during interviews and investigations. Agents typically take notes during or right after interview and later formalize them into the FD 302, which can become key evidence or testimony in cases. In the context of Jeffrey Epstein, Massey has repeatedly highlighted these forms as critical, unreleased or heavily redacted documents in the Epstein files. He co-sponsored the Epstein Files Transparency Act, a bipartisan law requiring the Department of Justice to release relevant Epstein-related records, including those from FBI investigations into Epstein and Maxwell. Massey argues that the FD 302 forms from victim and witness interviews contain names of individuals. He has cited at least 20 men accused of participating in sex crimes, trafficking, rape, or related acts with Epstein's victims. According to him, survivors and their lawyers have shared that they've provided these names to the FBI, and the agency records records them in 302s, meaning the FBI doesn't just forget such details. He views the forms as a potential source of accountability for powerful figures. He's mentioned categories like billionaires and Hollywood producer, a banker, and a high-profile government official in some discussions, but claims the DOJ has withheld or overly redacted them, failing to comply with the law's spirit and letter. This has been a recurring point in his public statements, interviews, congressional hearings, blah, blah, fucking blah. He has criticized partial file releases as insufficient as they lack unredacted 302's names or alleged perpetrators. In early 2026, he and Khanna pushed for access to unredacted versions, including these forms, draft indictments, and or other materials. He has suggested that full disclosure of the 302s with only victim names protected could reveal more about co-conspirators. A lot of these victims were co-conspirators, by the way, like the chick I showed you. Note that many released Epstein documents to date have been heavily redacted, and debates continue over compliance with the transparency law. Massey's focus on the 302 stems from his work with Epstein survivors pushing for real accountability beyond already public info. Now, let's find out if this is true. And here we go. I asked, aren't Congress getting unredacted files? I read they have. Yes, members of Congress are now able to view unredacted versions of certain Epstein files, but it's not a full, unrestricted release or public access. It's limited and supervised. Here's the current status as of February 2026. The Epstein Files Transparency Act, co-sponsored by Rep. Thomas Massey and Ro Khanna, two Democrats, require the Department of Justice to release Epstein-related records publicly. The DOJ has released millions of pages, around 3 to 3.5 million in recent trenches, but many were heavily redacted, including key FBI 302 forms from key witness interviews that Massey has emphasized. After criticism from Massey, Khanna, and others about inconsistent or overly broad redactions, the DOJ agreed to provide access to unredacted versions of the already publicly released documents. Starting around February 9th to 10th, 2026, reports said Monday, and recent updates confirm arrangements are in place. Members of Congress can review these unredacted files in person at the DOJ in a secure reading room. Key restrictions include no electronic devices allowed, no phones, cameras, etc. They can take handwritten notes. Access is for members only, not staff at this point. The time is limited to it's limited to the 3 million pages already made public in redacted form, not the full trove. DOJ has referenced over 6 million total documents, with some still withheld or not yet addressed. And as far as I understand, it's all the CSAM. Massey himself posted on X that he was heading to the DOJ on February 9th to view them and asked the public for suggestions on which specific documents to prioritize, blah, blah, blah. So there you have it. They're going to be heading there on the 9th, which is tomorrow, and they're going to be going and getting a look at them unredacted. Now, why Massey would need to head there when he already has victims giving him names, according to him, That's what blows my mind. Isn't that interesting that he needs to go see it for himself? He can't just take the victim's word. I thought we believe all victims when we're Democrats like him, but I guess not. We need to go see those 302 forms. So anyway, they're getting access to that. And if I'm not mistaken, some of these 302 forms, let me double check before I say it. Now I heard this, but I never looked into this part, so I should ask. There we go. I said, aren't many of those 302 forms from alleged victims who may or may not be credible? Yes, that's a fair and important point to raise. Not all statements in FBI FD 302 forms or related Epstein investigation documents are equally credible, and some come from sources the FBI itself addressed as unreliable, or those claims who were later recanted, contradicted, or lack corroboration. So there's the breakdown. You can pause it. I'll just put it there. I'm not going to make you listen to me reading it all again. I'll leave that up. You can pause it. I'll leave that up. You can pause it. I'll leave that up. You can pause it. And then there you go. So anyway, yeah, I was correct in my logic. I remember reading that, but I never backed it up and looked at it myself. I don't have time to research every damn fucking stupid thing that comes out about Epstein. So there you have it, guys. People are going to be boycotting the NFL. A lot more people than these idiots that are encouraging you to watch and then switch to something else. If you want to watch the something else, go watch the something else. But if you're a serious right-winger and you seriously are tired of the woke bullshit at the NFL, you just won't be watching at all. This isn't hard math. I'm just saying. All right, guys, that's what I got for you today, and I'll talk to you again really soon.